Dragon Walker, Battle Armor, He-Man, and Skeletor and Merman each sold separately.
Step right this way, He-Man!
Batteries not included.
What's that? Take that, He-Man! May the mightiest power prevail! Yeah!
New Dragon Walker vehicle for use with most Masters of the Universe figures. Action figures each sold separately from Mattel.
And the Masters of the Universe. I am Adam, Prince of Eternia and defender of the secrets of Castle Grayskull. This is Cringer, my fearless friend. Fabulous secret powers were revealed to me the day I held aloft my magic sword and said, "By the power of Grayskull!" Cringer became the mighty Battle Cat, and I became He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe. Only 3 others share this secret. Our friends, the Sorceress, Man-at-Arms, and Orko. Together we defend Castle Grayskull from the evil forces of Skeletor.
Hello, this is OptimusSolo, and welcome to the 29th chapter in Tales of Eternia. With me for this journey into the Masters of the Universe franchise is, guess who? TFG1Mike.
You know, I'm thinking, and I'm only bringing this up now, I should probably bring this up with you on off-air, but I'm thinking when we get to She-Ra, we need to bring in a female for a third wheel.
Nothing good happens when that happens. All right, we're going to give you She-Ra from a guy's perspective. So, sir,
oh, God.
Are you ready for the powers of the Grayskull, sir?
Yes.
All right. Well, in this episode of Tales of Eternia, we will be giving you our thoughts on Episode 84, The Littlest Giant, Episode 85, Attack from Below, and Episode 86, Into the Abyss. So we hope you're ready, because it's time to go back to Eternia.
Oh, God, not more Booth.
Don't worry, can do. I'll save you.
Just haul me in.
I'm doing my best.
What about me? Well, it's about time. Nice work, Laura Squinch.
If I weren't so little, I could have done it all by myself.
Well, you are little. Now we better get out of the wind before we all blow away.
Now, what was that?
We start today with episode 84, The Littlest Giant, written by same person who wrote episode 83 from a couple weeks ago, Doug Booth. Air date, Friday, October 5th, 1984. This is how we ended our first week of October back in 1984. Squinch wants to be big and strong like his hero He-Man, but when he makes a bargain with Skeletor and Evil Lyn, it's up to the little widget to save his hero. Bad guys in this, Beastman, Evil Lyn, Skeletor, and, are you ready? Panther.
About time.
Masters would be your normal ones with an appearance from King Randor. PSA, Squinch recalls that He-Man said it doesn't matter what you look like, but who you are inside. He bets there are a lot of people who wish they could be just like you. Orko agrees with him. Orko's fun facts. When Prince Adam first transforms into He-Man in this episode, this is the only time in the entire series that the transformation sequence does not have any part of the He-Man theme running through it. Squinch appears to have forgotten about the way in which Evil Lyn humiliated him in Evil Lyn's plot, as he actively seeks the help of the forces of evil at Snake Mountain. And the second transformation in this episode is a mixture of 2 episodes. The shot of Cringer talking and then Prince Adam revealing the Sword of Power behind the bookcase is similar to the Mystery of Many-Faces, and the slow dissolve to an already dressed Adam is the same as in the Shaping Staff. Again, for the third time in 2 podcast episodes, we have had some continuity with recurring characters. If you recall, a couple weeks ago, we had Granomir making a reappearance with the Dark Smoke characters, and then we also had Kothos making a second appearance. Now we get an additional appearance of Squinch and the rest of the squinch people.
Widgets.
The rest of the widgets.
Widgets.
So again, some continuity and some connectivity to previous episodes. What did you think of the whole plot on this one?
So I gotta say, and 2 weeks ago you said, "Oh, you must be watching She-Ra." I haven't been because obviously we're saving that for the 30th anniversary. But I remember, like, I'm a person that once I watch a movie as many times as I've watched The Secret of the Sword, I remember every single aspect of that movie.
I thought you were going to say you remember every single ass in that movie.
Yeah, Bo was kind of an ass. Anyway, I am only bringing this up because they sound similar. The Widgets, the name the Widgets, kind of reminds me of the Twiggets in She-Ra. They're both a race of little people within the He-Man and She-Ra universes.
True.
And then, if you want to throw in a Thundercats crossover, you can have the Burbills. Every time I hear Squinch's name, I think of Squints, the little four-eyed guy who had a crush on Wendy Peppercorn in The Sandlot. I don't know why I always hear Squints instead of Squinch every time I hear somebody say his name.
The plot was... crush on Andy Peppercorn?
No, Wendy... Oh, God. Yeah, so you're such an asshole. You know what I'm talking about.
Anyway.
The plot was okay. I'm used to it by now, because every piece of media that I've seen since then has done this. This type of plot. I mean, hell, I believe Transformers had done this a couple of times, about characters not feeling their worth and they want to be bigger than what they actually are. I think at some point I'm going to reference this episode as being the episode about nothing, which, I mean, Seinfeld had a whole show about nothing, so I guess it's good in that aspect.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem anytime we have recurring characters. That's usually a good thing. The Widgets aren't my favorite subgroup in the world of Eternia, but I'm willing to go ahead and go through the whole episode again and try to ignore the whole I'm small and I'm not great storyline, like you said, that we get more than most storylines in these type of things. It's all about, self-esteem and people feeling good about themselves, and it's what's on the inside that counts. Blech. Anyway, but I do have quite a few good things to say, so let's make our way to Castle Grayskull.
Well, if I were as big as He-Man, I could do that too.
Gee, Squinch, I don't even think my magic can help you with that.
Magic? Hey, I wonder...
Castle Grayskull. What moments do you have from there?
Okay, you already mentioned it, but what I did notice about the transformation scene, even though there wasn't the He-Man theme, the background music, the general Eternian background music we normally would hear before the He-Man theme, is behind all of the sound effects, but it is so buried, you have to really be listening for it. I loved Battle Cat when he inhaled the sleeping powder and his stumbling around made him look like he was drunk. I thought that was funny. Nice. And this time around, Skeletor actually has a damn good plan. I like that. Skeletor's actually thinking for once. What about you?
Number one, I will say one good thing about Doug Booth, which I don't usually do. But, I understand Larry DiTillio brought back Granamere, etc., but he had been the one that had written the previous episodes, so it's kind of like it was his little storyline that he kept going back to, which makes sense, and I'm not faulting him for that. I will give credit to Doug Booth for bringing back characters that weren't in one of his previous episodes, which means that he, unless somebody directed him to do that, he was aware that they existed in another episode and consciously decided to do an episode with them, even though he had not written the previous episodes. So I will give him credit for that. We did have a widget signal flare a la bat symbol sent up, so that was cool. I like that there was a small bit of continuity that I guess Mr. Andy Mangels or whoever the genius is that puts together all the fun facts, self-proclaimed He-Man expert, and somehow this is all jealousy. Somehow lucky guy that gets to do all the bonus materials and all these 80s cartoons. He missed something. They should have mention something about the continuity in here with the dungeon door knowledge of Snake Mountain by Tila.
Yeah, that was...
She knew about the secret dungeon door in Snake Mountain from a previous episode, and they brought that back and made that play a part in this episode. I didn't think they would do that. So kudos to them for bringing that aspect and that piece of knowledge and not ignore that. It was cool seeing Skeletor on the throne.
Yep.
Sitting there chilling out. But you know what was even cooler? Here's my note.
What?
Motherfucking Panther.
Yeah,
with an exclamation point. I love also that he appears in He-Man, I believe it's He-Man. Why, Panther, how nice to see you.
Yes.
Like, just echoing the thoughts of everybody that was watching that episode. Like, yes, very nice to see Panther. He's just awesome. So cool that we finally get to... I thought he was in the series more than he was. I didn't realize we'd only get to see him like one time.
I mean, when was this the first and only time, or have we seen him before? I remember seeing him in Snake Mountain a couple of times, but I don't remember when.
Yeah, I think we saw him once in Snake Mountain, just kind of as a pet off to the side. But this is, for all I can remember, this is his first time that we've actually seen him since we started rewatching this. Not saying that it won't happen again.
Right.
But one of the first times we saw him in taking a big part of the action. I love the fact that they have this line that I'm sure if we were in the room, this is the line they wanted to say was, it's not about how big you are, but somebody in the writing or whatever decided that was going to be taken out of context. So they changed the line and says, it's not about how big your body is. I don't know. I find that funny that they didn't leave it in and just say it's not about how big you are and let people.
It's a Little Mermaid joke, ladies and gentlemen. Before the Little Mermaid was ever the Little Mermaid.
So it's not about how big your body is, guys. It doesn't matter how big anything else is. But yeah, some good things in this episode. Also some negative things. So let's get to those as we travel to Snake Mountain.
I was half expecting Battle Cat to pounce on. I was half expecting them to fight in this episode.
Yeah.
He has a lot of courage.
Oh, not much sense. Even I know better than to ask Skeletor for favors.
Silence, you two! Now what is it that you want?
Would you please use your magic and make me big?
And what's in it for me?
Well, I can give you these. It's all I've got, but they're yours.
So not only do you trespass in my domain, but you insult me as well. Beastman, take him to the dungeons.
Skeletor, wait! The widget could be of use to us.
For every good thing you say about Doug Booth, you must also say something negative. I gave him credit for bringing back the Wickets, even though he didn't write about them in the first place. He knew they existed, so he brought them back. However, he didn't actually pay attention to the episodes they appeared in prior, because he ignored that Squinch would have actually known Evelyn and the Evil Warriors.
Yeah.
And not gone and sought, he wouldn't have sought them out for help. So, you brought them back. You must have seen them and said, hey, these guys look cool, and I'll bring them back. But apparently you ignored the fact that they have already experienced some things in this world. So, yeah, bad on that, Doug Booth. Pretty sure that Panther could have jumped out of that thing that you guys trapped him in. Unless he's a non-jumping Panther.
He jumped at He-Man, so yeah.
He was in something that was not very high. And that has to be one of the lamest scenes in the entire series, and I'm talking about the cooking loaf of villain scene. That was very awful.
Well, first of all, they're in the palace kitchen, right?
Yeah.
Why the hell would He-Man, a.k.a. Prince Adam, destroy the roof of his own damn house just to trap the villains?
Right. It's just, I don't know, this is weird. Like, we're going to put flour in you, and we're going to roll you around, and we're going to create a loaf of bread that has all the villains inside it. What?
That was horrible.
Did Doug Booth think that was going to be funny to kids?
I guess.
What do you have?
every cartoon was doing it, so I guess He-Man had to have a little person wants to be bigger episode. Squinch is a moron half the time throughout this entire episode until he actually learns his lesson. There's a little animation error. I don't know if you caught this. There's a point where it's nighttime in the forest or wherever the hell they are. And then He-Man goes back to the palace, and for half a second it turns day, and then it turns back to night. Here's the thing. This is what I meant 2 weeks ago that I was going to bring this back up about how does Skeletor actually want to rule the planet? Does he just want to take King Randor or Queen Marlena out of power and rule the palace? Or does he want to have Castle Grayskull? I mean, I know the obvious answer is he wants it all. I get that. But, like, Jesus Christ, he needs to pick whether he wants to take over Grayskull or the palace. And then, even though Orko corrects himself after this, I found not really a huge issue, but I found an issue with this. Orko says, and I quote, "Come on, everyone, my magic will lead us to the palace." It was Evelyn's door. It was Evelyn that opened the damn portal, not Orko. So that was a little, but that's all I got.
All right, well, let's see. We had a lot of good things to say. We had a lot of bad things to say. Let's see how that equals out into our ratings and see who gets awards when we get to that section of the show.
It was sort of a mistake. But as long as you're here, I've got something for you.
What is it?
Why don't you open it first?
Yes, open it, He-Man!
What's going on? I can't hear a word they're saying.
It's magic. And it's not good magic either.
But Evil Lynn told me you'd like the surprise.
Evil Lynn gave this to you?
That's right, He-Man. The little fool fell right into my trap.
Okay, it is awards and rankings time. I didn't mention it and I didn't telegraph it, but I actually will give a Havoc staff for Evil Lynn in this episode because I thought she was an epic failure in this episode. She really didn't do hardly anything right. She messed stuff up. She could have been much better than she was in this episode, and she could have done more in securing what they needed to secure. She was the last line of defense, and she completely effed up. So, Havoc staff for Evil Lynn. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. And then she sits there and whispers some magical plan to Skeletor. Like, really, seriously, she's going to actually whisper to him? Like, his bone face has ears, really?
It does. You just don't know it.
No. Yeah, so Havoc staff for her. Yeah, that's it.
All right. You probably don't know what my rating is because I said a bunch of good stuff and I said a bunch of negative stuff. I do criticize it for Doug Booth not paying better attention to the Widget's first appearance than that incredibly bad loaf of bread scene. But there was a lot of cool things here. I do like that the widgets or whatever the fuck they are came back. I like the dungeon door aspect of the continuity there. I like seeing Skeletor on the throne, and this episode has Panther in it. So the good wins out against the bad. The bad keeps it from being a great episode. I will give it a 4 Battle Cats out of 5.
I'm going to give it 3 Panthers.
3 Panthers. No Orcos this time. All right. Well, that does it for episode 84. Let's make our way to episode 85, Attack from Below, coming up next.
I can't wait to congratulate Agar, the master farmer. Just look at the fields, Orko.
Sure looks good.
It's the best food crop Eternia has produced in years. Agar, I want you to know how grateful all of Eternia is for your wonderful crop.
Thank you, but it was the great rains that made the crops, not I. I think my son has a favor to ask from Orko.
Could you do some magic for me, Orko? I love magic. Please?
Well, let's see now. If I can use some of these luscious berries, I'll show you my combination juggling and disappearing trick.
Help yourself.
Okay, watch closely now.
Episode 85. We're getting attacked from below. Writer Michael Kirschenbaum. Air date, that's how we started our week, Monday, October 8th, 1984, when a race of subterranean people steal Eternia's crops. Teela and He-Man must journey underground to stop them. Bad guys in this, we have cameos from Beastman, Skeletor, and Trapjaw. We have our regular masters with Ram Man making an appearance. PSA is Teela and Orko explaining the folly of misjudging an entire group just because of the actions of a few of them. Orko's fun facts. There's a mispainting in one of the scenes. First shot of the fishing scene, you can see that Man-at-Arm's hands have not been painted correctly. What is interesting to note is that during the flashback sequence, the audience realizes that it is Skeletor and his evil warriors that Subterraneous is referring to. However, Teela has no idea of whom he is speaking. This is the first and probably best appearance of the Dragon Walker. All other appearances would make the vehicle appear to be the slowest land vehicle on Eternia. What did you think about this episode as far as the Subterraneans and the crop stealing?
It would have been better if it was the Goofy Gophers.
The Goofy Gophers.
That's right. Would have been better if it was the Goofy Gophers, honestly. And again, 2 weeks in a row I've said this. I've seen too many other things that do the same thing. And it's the exact, every single time, this guy, or whatever the hell his name is, the leader there says, oh, we're not going to listen to above-worlder lies, and whatever. Oh, God. Just, no. Thankfully, this is the only episode Michael Kirschenbaum wrote.
Not a big fan of this episode?
No, not at all.
All right. I don't have a big problem with the plot. I actually like the whole idea of the subterranean group, and that they have a history with people above ground, and that has formed their opinions on things, and we're trying to kind of break through that stereotype they have. So I don't mind that part of the plot. I'm not saying it's a great episode, but I'm probably not going to hate it as much as you are. So let's see if you have anything good to say when we make our way to Castle Grayskull.
I will say the one thing that I do like about the plot, that it does introduce Subternia, so I do like that. But as far as the people living there, blah.
Take this corn to the storage room.
Uh-oh.
A stranger.
Stand back! Let me go, you cowards!
Oh, this is wonderful. I should do it more often.
You should. I do some of my best thinking here. It's always so...
Help! Help! Something terrible's happened at the cornfields.
What is it, Orko?
Teela was dragged underground and I can't find her.
Underground? By what?
I don't know. It happened so fast.
Let's go.
All right, I'll go first. Castle Grayskull moments for Attack from Below. Number one, I thought it was a cool alien race of villains there. I like the Subterraneans. I like that we got down to Subternia. And I thought they had good looks. They had good villain looks here. And I like the backstory and the plot point of them having exposure before, but that exposure was with Skeletor. So basically their only exposure to the above world people was dealing with Skeletor and his villainy. So they have now been, kind of turned away from all of the above world people. So I like that aspect of the episode. What about you?
So this is Subternia. Interesting. Outside of these characters that I don't really care for them, I wish they would have done more with Subternia in this series. The Dragon Walker, that's cool, and I think, is this the first time we've seen this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love it when Rami goes boing. I just love that sound effect.
You like it when Rami goes boing, huh?
Yep.
That could be taken out of context.
Shut the hell up. The sound effect, you idiot. But that's it.
That is it. Not a lot of good things apparently to say about this episode, so let's see how many negative things we have to say at Snake Mountain.
This He-Man is quite a fellow, but we'll stop him.
Why are you doing this? Do you like fighting?
No, I don't like violence, but my people are hungry.
But there's no need to fight us. We'd be happy to help.
I will not listen to above-grounder lies.
All right, we find ourselves at Snake Mountain for the Snake Mountain moments from episode 85, Attack from Below. Kid not needed in this episode. Completely not needed.
Agreed.
Did not need him. This episode is just overall somewhat boring.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of action, not a whole lot of stuff going on, and I thought that they have this decent plot of the aliens having previously met and interacted with Skeletor. Yet they bring Skeletor into this episode never.
Yep.
So I thought that since there was a history with them, that some clever ideas or options of bringing him somehow back into it. You could have had, the Eternians trying to mend this and trying to convince them that they're not that bad. You could have had the Subternians, or however you call them, basically starting to give the Eternians a chance, come above ground or do something, and then you could have had Skeletor come in and completely, kind of break their thoughts again. You could have had him somehow trying to intermingle or create some havoc, but instead you don't bring Skeletor in at all, except for the idea that they used to have history with him, which is almost like Skeletor doesn't even know this is going on. So I just feel like there was a missed opportunity with this one. What about you?
Well, going off of that, you're right, because it wasn't very much a missed opportunity, because Skeletor I believe I brought this up in the past episodes of the podcast. Skeletor has said that he knows and sees he knows all that's going on around Eternia when it comes to evil. Apparently, not evil. I guess this evil is the lowest of the low on the totem pole of evil. I don't know. You pretty much took the words right out of my mouth as far as it being an overall boring episode. And I said, great, yet another episode with no Skeletor actually in dealing with the episode. And these guys, this race, they're basically a villain of the week turned good guy. And as I said earlier in the plot, this is your standard people living below, having, fights with people above and not wanting to learn. And because Teela says, hey, look, we'll help you. She offers to help them. And they still are stubborn as all hell. So.
Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
All right, well, let's see what kind of ratings we give Attack from Below.
It's a dead end. We'll have to find another way.
Awards and rankings for episode 85, Attack from Below. I will give a Havoc staff to Mr. Michael Kirschenbaum,
Whatever.
for completely
completely
missing opportunities with the storyline. I think he had potential here, and he just didn't follow through with any of it. What about you?
Same here.
And episode rating, I will drop again, like last episode that we did, like last podcast. The best one seems to be what we started with, and this one will drop. I had a 4 on that last one. I'm going all the way down to a 2 on this one. 2 Battle Cats. What about you?
I have it written down, but I just want to make sure. Okay, the only reason what saves this from being a 0 is seeing the Dragon Walker, so it gets a 1.
So not a very good episode in Season 2,
No.
Attack from Below. Let's see if we can get in any better when we go into the Abyss.
Give up, Beastman. You've lost.
Never. Get the girl. Come back here, you cowards. I command you, come back. You miserable traitors. When I get my hands...
Beastman, I'll give you 10 seconds to follow your friends before I send you there myself.
Mark my words, He-Man. Someday you will wish you never heard the name Beastman.
I already wish I never heard it.
And then He-Man took a step toward Beastman.
Old Furface tripped 3 times trying to get out of the fortress. Thank you all for coming to the aid of the widgets once again.
We were glad to be of help. Now I must be going.
And I must get back to my duties at the palace. Adam is behind in his training.
All right, it is time for the last episode of today, episode 86, Into the Abyss, written by Robert Lamb, air date Tuesday, October 9th, 1984. Prince Adam and Teela decide to have fun with Adam's training, but things take a dark turn when Teela falls into the bottomless abyss around Castle Grayskull. Beastman appears in this again. Also, our regular Masters of the Universe, He-Man and Man-at-Arms and the PSA explain how Teela learned that it's important to play as well as work, and to make sure she plays safely by making sure someone knows where she is. Orko's fun facts: originally during the scene when Prince Adam chases Teela through the forest, they are swinging Tarzan like on vines until Adam crashes into a tree. In the script, the sorceress leaves Castle Grayskull to attend the Widget celebration, explaining where she was when Teela falls into the abyss. That would have been cool to add that in there. Originally, Act 1 ended with Teela hanging on to the side of the chasm, a real cliffhanger. Ha ha ha. Yeah. As Prince Adam, Man-at-Arms, and Orko stare into the abyss, Zora originally flew back into the castle only to reappear as a sorceress and question their sadness. What did you think about this whole abyss, the whole fact that we really don't have any villains whatsoever? I mean, we get Beastman, but really it's just there's not even like villains of the week. There's really no antagonist almost in this. It's just them and trying to rescue Teela. What do you think?
This might be more boring than the other 2 boring episodes we've had in the past 2 weeks. I remember in episode 28 I said there was an episode that bored me. I remember one of these episodes today bored me. Besides this one. This was a complete departure from what we've really seen altogether. Sure, Beastman was there a little bit, but... no more episodes from you, Robert Lamb. You do not deserve to write He-Man episodes.
Ouch. Interesting. That is some powerful words you're saying there. I like the idea of doing an episode with no villains, basically, where it's just the heroes finding themselves in a situation where they need help and they need to do something, or someone's in danger, and it doesn't necessarily include villains. So I like that standpoint. So I don't mind the plot itself. I think if you do that, you obviously have to make it interesting and find a good way to do that, which I'm not sure that they did here. But the actual plot I don't have a problem with. Well, we'll see what if I can make you say anything good about this episode. So let's get to Castle Grayskull.
Oh, God. When we get to Castle Grayskull, I'm going to break your brain with the
wait.
realization.
Castle Grayskull for the last time today.
Here either. I'm getting a little tired of Adam skipping my lessons. I've been looking everywhere for you. You're supposed to be...
I know. I'm supposed to be learning survival skills.
Right. So why didn't you meet me 2 hours ago?
To tell the truth, Teela, I didn't feel like it.
What? You didn't...
Look, I know I have a lot to learn. But come on, Teela, can't we have some fun once in a while?
Fun? Adam, you can't waste your life just fooling around. There are too many important things to do.
Well, that's what I mean. Work, work, work. It's all you ever think about. Well, I don't feel like it.
But Adam,
That will be all, Captain.
All right, time for the highlights of Into the Abyss. Go ahead and break my brain.
So I'm watching this episode, and normally we've seen scenes like this before, but normally it never goes this far. The scene where Adam actually talks back and tells Tila no. I had to watch that 3 different times before we recorded this episode because I had to make sure I got my facts right here. Because, oh fuck, oh no, I can't believe I'm going to say this. I'm Tila and you are Prince Adam. I am the one who always needs to do everything right now to get podcasts and everything else done and go ahead and get the work out of the way, where you're like, oh, sometimes you're like, oh no, we can wait, it's gonna be there, and I've got other stuff to do in my life and whatever else. I was like, oh fuck no, I can't believe I've turned into Tila. Fuck.
I like that.
And silence.
I like that you've realized how much of a Tila you are.
Oh, shut the hell up. The first note I did have, though, is it's nice to know finally that the source of Castle Grayskull's power is at the bottom of the abyss, this will actually come back in my Snake Mountain moments, but it's nice to finally know that's where the source of the power is. And Adam got whacked in the face in the jungle. That was funny.
Yeah.
Other than that, nothing.
Different introduction to an episode, straight into a battle. So I enjoyed that.
I think we've seen that a couple of times. This isn't the first, but yeah, it was different than the last, 5 episodes we've seen.
I already wished I hadn't ever heard the name Beastman.
Why?
I think that's a line from the show.
Oh, yeah.
Cool to see them out just playing games for fun. That was a different thing that we don't usually get to see, and I like the whole angle between the sorceress and Tila, so that is somewhat of a good thing in this episode. So that's about it for me. I don't have a lot about Snake Mountain, but I do have one major thing that we need to get to.
I have 6.
Well, let's see what they all are.
Duncan, have you seen Tila?
No, she wasn't at dinner either. Did you two have another fight?
No, we got separated in the forest. I'd hoped she'd come back here.
How long has she been missing?
Oh, almost 4 hours. Duncan, I'm worried.
You know, it's not like Tila to go off by herself unprepared.
Wait, Duncan, she was prepared. She gave me this homing device. It's funny. She thought I was going to get lost.
I have one thing. I know you have 6 at Snake Mountain, but I will get the biggest one out of the way right now. Biggest Snake Mountain moment of this episode. It's a Tila-centric episode. Continue.
Okay, so I mentioned in my Castle Grayskull moments that I like that they finally revealed that the actual source of Castle Grayskull's power is in the bottomless pit. And they actually do say the bottomless pit actually does go to the core of Eternia. So that would mean that the source of the castle's power is the core of the planet. What is bad about that is every time Skeletor tries to conquer Castle Grayskull, he never thinks to look in the bottom of the fucking pit. Why doesn't he just try going down the bottomless pit to try to capture the power instead of trying to capture the castle itself? Tila's been lost before, so she lied right there. Hide and seek, really? Really? Come on now. How the hell does one little blinking red button tell her how Adam is doing on tracking her? This thing, it's a little device that has a blinking red button. It doesn't have a crap. It doesn't have a map on it. It doesn't have a compass like a needle on it. It's a blinking red button. That's it. How the hell does she know how well he's tracking her? And this was the boring episode. This is the one where I should have compared it to Seinfeld because nothing really happens here. And because of that, this might be my first ranking of this in a long time.
You're not one to keep your hand to yourself, sir. Yeah, not a great episode. Not much happening in it. Not a whole lot to say about it one way or the other, except to hand out some rankings and awards.
Should know them. I tracked her through the forest before.
What are those marks?
This break is fresh. That means Tila came this way.
It looks like she slid.
Not over the edge. Oh, no. Not Tila. Oh.
Prince Adam.
All right, awards and ranking time for the last time today for Into the Abyss, episode 86. Might seem strange, but I'm going to give both a Power Sword and a Havoc Staff to the writer on this one. The reason I'm going to do that is I think he deserves some credit for trying to do an episode that doesn't really involve any villains, and I like the attempt there, but I'm going to give him a Havoc Staff for completely not executing it in a proper way. I mean, he had some potential there with the Sorceress and the Tila angle, and kind of really exploring some characters. And I don't mind getting some more background and character development for those characters. I just don't think he did it in a way that would have captured my attention as a child. I think this was a pretty boring episode, and I would have been like, "Where's the bad guys?"
Right.
What do you?
Now, I will say on your thoughts here, if they had done what was in the Orko's fun facts, it would have been a better episode.
Agree.
Because that was in the script. He wrote that shit in there, so I don't know why they took it out. As far as me, Havoc Staff to him and to Tila. Tila just... Alright, what do you rate this one?
Lowest episode of the day for me. We went downhill all the way from the beginning. I gave the first one a 4, second one a 2, this one a 1, Battle Cat.
0.
A full-out 0.
Full-out 0. I agree with you, it's nice not to see villains, but I don't think it should have been, like, I wish it was like all of the Masters, like Ram Man, Stratos, Buzz-Off, even though we're not caring about him that much recently, Mechaneck,
right.
Fisto, Moss Man, Man-at-Arms, the King and the Queen, Orko, Battle Cat. I wish it was like you know how, have you ever watched Justice League Unlimited? No. Alright, well, you won't know this, but there's an episode of Justice League Unlimited called Task Force X, and it's basically what if this task force breaks into the Justice League Watchtower, and it's basically an episode all about villains and has really nothing to do with the heroes, but it's a plot for villains. Mm-hmm. I wish they would have done that here for the heroes, or scrap this entire episode and make it all villain-centric episode with no heroes. That would have been more interesting and less boring.
All right, well, we will take a quick break, and we'll be back with our overall thoughts and outro.
In today's story, He-Man said what is important is what you're like inside. It's not really important whether you're bigger, smaller, taller, shorter, fat, or skinny. In other words, what's important is being the best person you can be. You know something? I'll bet there are a lot of people out there right now who'd like to be just like you.
Good for you, Squinch. You said it.
Hi, my name is Dr. Andrea Letamendi, clinical psychologist.
And I'm Brian Ward, nerd. And we want to invite you to listen to our new podcast, The Arkham Sessions.
It's a podcast dedicated to the fun
and geeky
analysis of Batman the Animated Series, episode by episode.
We pay tribute to the writers and the stories of the animated series,
while also exploring the very real psychology behind Gotham's rogues.
And maybe even its heroes. All of this and more
each week
on The Arkham Sessions
at UnderTheMaskOnline.com.
In our story today, we can all learn a valuable lesson. Subternius and his underground people hated all those who lived above ground because of the actions of a few.
Well, that's like throwing away a barrel of good apples just because one happens to be bad.
Right. Every day we meet all kinds of people.
Most will be nice. Some may be bad.
But it's unfair to judge an entire group by the actions of just a few.
Right. Till later, so long!
Grab your helmets, because it's time to assemble Mask. Mask Mayhem is here with your hosts TFG1Mike, OptimusSolo, and brand new host Toon Master Tim. This podcast, covering all 75 episodes of Mask, will feature in-depth analysis of every episode, talking the toys, and more. Mask Mayhem will run 30 podcast episodes. You can find us on iTunes and www.geekcastradio.com. So get your spectrums ready, as podcasting is the ultimate weapon.
Tila learned 2 extremely important lessons today.
She learned it's just as important to play as it is to study and work.
But it's also important to take the time to learn the rules for playing safely.
Right, Duncan. Tila wandered too far away, and when she ran into trouble, there was no one around to help her or to go for help. So when you play away from family or friends, make sure someone knows where you are at all times.
All right, that does it for today. Our 3 episodes being concluded here. Talked a little bit about the Littlest Giant, which again, we saw some recurring characters there. Decent episode overall. I give it a 4, you gave it a 3. Attack from Below, which was a 2 and a 1 rating, and Into the Abyss, which was a 1 and a 0 rating. So not the greatest after a decent, okay beginning episode. Kind of went downhill from there. What are your thoughts right now on Season 2 as we're at about the 20th episode here of Season 2. We just got the 19th, 20th, and 21st episode if we're just looking at Season 2. So we're about a third of the way through Season 2, and what are you thinking?
He-Man overall is better than Mask. There's not a lot of cringeworthy moments in these 3 episodes today, but I just can't wait till we get to the end, or can't wait till we get to an episode I actually like. I'm sure you'll tell me here in a moment, but I don't even remember the last time I was able to give a 5 to an episode of He-Man.
I don't give 5s out very easily, so...
I mean, I don't either generally, but I mean, I don't even remember a time recently, I would say, since Season 2 started, that I was able to give all Grayskull moments and no Snake Mountain moments, or more, 70-30 on Grayskull's side, and
we've had a few 4s and 4.5s, and
yeah, I know, but I haven't witnessed an episode yet that will make me do what I did in Season 1, where I gave out a 5 to 3 or 4 episodes. I probably gave up more than that, but I'm just saying in general that these episodes, while they're not the most horrible thing the 80s ever produced, they're not the best either.
Well, we'll have to see how this second 2/3 of Season 2 goes. We've gotten a little of what we wanted in Season 2 so far. We've gotten some new characters. We've gotten some continuity between other characters we saw in Season 1. We've gotten some backstories as far as some character development amongst a couple of the characters that were holdovers from Season 1. So we'll have to see where we go from here.
Thank you for listening to Tales of Eternia. If you'd like to get in contact with us or leave feedback for the show, there are several ways to do so. Visit the website, geekcastradio.com, which is all new, and you can comment on this and every other episode post. Send email to feedback@geekcastradio.com. Put in the subject line, Tales of Eternia, episode 27 or 29. Leave us feedback on iTunes. Please do this. We need more iTunes feedback. Spread the word. Follow us on Twitter. The network Twitter is @GeekCastRadio. Mine is TFG1Mike. What is your Twitter?
@OptimusSolo.
Become a fan on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/GeekCastRadioNetwork. Call the voicemail line and tell us the show you're leaving the message for and your name, 502-526-5821. We hope you enjoyed the tales today, and don't forget to join us in our next adventure when we will continue Season 2, discussing episodes 87, 88, and 89, those being Fraidy Cat, oh, that better be a cringer episode, The Rainbow Warrior, uh-oh, I smell Lucky the Leprechaun going to be around that one, and A Trip to Morania.
Dun, dun, dun.
Is that kind of like going to Camino, or whatever the hell that stupid rain planet is in Star Wars?
Could be.
Anyway, for now, I am TFG1Mike with...
the one and only OptimusSolo.
By the powers of Grayskull, you all have the power.
Just a little more.
At last. Oh, what a climb.
I don't know about you, but I could sleep for a week.